Hello everybody, Halcrex here, and welcome to another Mercenary Thoughts from the Inner Sphere, episode 403A. Yes, the unknown error code has been instituted with another what if unknown, the King Crab IIC. Yep, it's one of those mechs, as the King Crab made the exodus with Kerensky into the netherworlds of the cluster and disappeared for millennia. And everybody's wondering, well, whatever happened to those guys? And then they show up again with all these fancy dancy mechs. Now, a lot of King Crabs went in the exodus with the clans. So why isn't there a King Crab IIC? I always wondered about that one. And this is another what if episode. What if we do have a King Crab IIC? My thing is down below, when you're listening to this, what would you design the King Crab IIC to be? And I went with kind of the original thought process with the King Crab and just clanified it a little bit for the initial version of the 2C and go from there. And, there had to have been some upgraded King Crabs that fought the actions against the King Crab. I can't even talk. The clans. There you go. Get that out. When they were fighting it out in the cluster, trying to figure out, okay, who's going to own this, who's going to own that. They trial possession, that kind of thing. They definitely had probably upgraded King Crabs that fought in these battles, but eventually they didn't have the capability to keep them going anymore, so they ended up being relegated to the scrap heap. But I always like to think, yes, some of these did get rebuilt into 2C ops. So there. Now, the King Crab, the one version I have designed, tries to sort of stay within the initial bounds of the original design. So we have 2 Gauss rifles. Instead of AC-20s, now we have Gauss rifles. Clan versions in the right arm and left arm. Alrighty. And then we have an ER large laser in the right torso, keeping that large laser. So you got some long range capability. So it turns this thing into a long range fire support mech. So you got a 25 range weapon that does 10. And then you got 2 of them that do out to 22 for 15. So nice little hole punchers. So this thing out at 22 range can do 40 points of damage, which is pretty dang decent. All right. Then you get into closer into the range. We have 4 ER medium lasers, 1 in the right torso, 1 in the left torso, and 2 in the center torso. All right, so there you go. You have some decent firepower with that up close. Then we have kept the LRM-20, which I think it was an LR-15 or something like that. I'm off the top of my head. So we got an LRM-20 with Artemis. So you can upgrade that thing pretty good with 2 tons of ammunition, which makes it pretty nice. So, and then you're followed up with 15 double heat sinks. So now you're capable of displacing 30 heat, firing the ER large laser, firing the 2 Gauss rifles, that's 14. Add in the LRM-20 at 21 range, and you're sitting at 20 heat. And if you run, you're at 22. You're running cool. And then you have those 4 ER medium lasers. That is your extra little enclosed stuff. It's kind of your backup type of deal. And you might be better off sometimes thinking, okay, I'd rather fire 4 ER medium lasers instead of the LRM-20 or the large laser. I'd probably shut the large laser off and switch over to a bunch of ER medium lasers instead and just rack up the heat that way and do a little bit more damage, because instead of 10 points you can do up to 28. So there. Still a 3-5 moving mech. So you got 15 double heat sinks, 3-5 mover with 2 Gauss rifles, 4 ER medium lasers, an ER large laser, and LRM-20 with Artemis. And still have ferrofibrous armor for your backup. So you still maxed out 307 points of armor, which is really good. So, pretty decent mech that's capable of going out there and ripping things to pieces. If you see this thing coming down a dark alley, you'd be like, I'm going to go the other direction, because this thing will tear you apart. Now, this version comes out to be, what, 2,578 battle value, the version I have, plus whatever you're going to use for your pilot. So, whatever upgrade. So, if you had a 3.5 in there, obviously it's going to go up a lot higher. But then you're getting into start thinking of terms of, would you rather have a Daiashi? That might be the reason why the King Crab IIC disappeared, because you have Daiashis out there. So, and personally, I'd rather have this over the Behemoth, but you know, give or take, whatever you like to do. Now, there was a couple other versions I played around with. Now, the version I just had, this one has been around for a long period of time. We've used this in many, many games with Intersphere versus Clans. This is like a clan refit. They took an Intersphere King Crab and refit it, you know, to this specs. Now, there could be some other versions of this mech rolling around. We have I call the King Crab 2. All right, this one. We have 2 ERPPCs instead of the Gauss rifles. All right, and it has 21 heat sinks, so it can dissipate up to 42 heat. And you just created 30 just with 2 ERPPCs. And then you have a large pulse laser instead of an ER large laser. So right there, you're creating 40 heat. And if you do run, you're at 42, so you're running cool with that thing. It also still has the LRM 20 with Artemis on board with 2 tons of ammunition. But the big kicker of this one is it has 5 medium pulse lasers for your up close and personal, and a couple flamers. And let's see, does it? I think this one hasn't. Oh, let me check here. Well, yes, 1 ER medium laser also on board this thing. So if you get in close with this thing, it has a plethora of pulse lasers that can rip into you. So basically, 30 of its heat, along with an LRM 20, that's 36. If you run, that's 38. You're still running cool. Can throw in a flamer or two for up close and not worry about using your 2 ERPPCs. Damage output, pretty decent. So you're looking at 35, 55, 62 points up close. Long range capability is up to 50, 60 points. So that's pretty decent. That's a mech that's I could easily see myself using. Kind of a different version of the King Crab IIC. So go look at that one. Then I had the King Crab number 3. This one it's kind of derivation of the original Star League version. Instead of 2 AC-20s, it has 2 LBX-20s. Because I prefer the LBX over the Ultra Cannon all day. You know, it has 2 tons of ammunition for each of the cannons. So basically, you can have 1 cluster, 1 solid out of it, and it's sort of staying within the bounds of the original design. You still got the ER large laser. You got 15 double heat sinks. You still got the LRM 20 with Artemis, and then you have 4 ER medium lasers. So there. Kind of works pretty decently. So very similar, but your longest range weapon system is your LRM and your ER large laser. So you got a 21 and a 25 range weapon system. So long range damage output's pretty low, but you get this thing up close, it might shotgun you to death. You know, if you hit with 2 LBX 20s with shotgun and up to 40 points of 1-pointers, yes, you're going to lose a lot of armor, but it's little plinkers. But what it really is doing is hunting for those crits. So if you don't have any holes punched in it already, it'd probably go a solid shot, punch the holes, and then the next turn it's going to shotgun it and rip you to pieces. Now let me tell you, if you've never been hit with an LBX 20 and get a full maximum 20 cluster hit on you, ooh, the crits go flying everywhere. We had one game where we had mech hit somebody. It was what was it? X-Men with an LBX 20 did a full cluster shot on it, 20, and I think it had 12 crits that it got on the enemy mech and just crit it to death. So that's something to think about. So that's pretty much my version of the King Crab IIC. I got 3 versions. The original version is the one that's the most use out. The last one is the one that's similar to the original design also. Then we have the one that's just an energy boat that kind of has a derivation away from the whole concept of ballistic weapons. Not really falling into the original design, but it's just kind of what if. All right, so that's it. Hope you guys like it. Like and subscribe, share with your friends, and we'll see you in the next one. Hellcracks out.